special day. Oireachtas Ursula von der Leyen, Uachtarán an Gumas an Orpach, haar cheann choltaí an ghatheach agus haar me cheann féin chuir an fáilte chuig an cóthaí seo de hithe an Oireachtas. Your Excellency, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, on behalf of the members of both houses and on my own behalf, I wish to welcome you to this historical joint sitting of the houses of the Oireachtas. Frau Präsidentin von der Leyen, 100.000 Mal bitte ich Sie in Irischen Parliament herzlich willkommen. President von der Leyen, you are very welcome. But we welcome you also as the first woman President of the Commission, an inspiration to women politicians here in Ireland, in Europe, and indeed across the world. Is mór a gcain tú a bheith ling is seomra a bhfuil siad a sásamh dúinge le chéad bhliain anuas a bheith an. Bhí siad a stúm ag Mícheál Ó Cuileáin tí ar gráthóir, úsáid an seomra seo a lorg ó chumann riaga áthair clia sa bhliain 1952, amar an cog cartha ar siúl in éireann agus táid an seo ó hin. Ceann de líon beag déan lethas parlamentach a cruthaíodh le ling réin a réamh lóide agus a bhaireann fós agus dag fónamh dá dhaoine. We have the honour, Madam President, of receiving you in a chamber which we have had the pleasure of occupying for the past 100 years. Michael Collins, an Irish patriot, had the foresight to seek the temporary use of this chamber from the Royal Dublin Society in 1922, a time of civil war in Ireland, and we have been here since, one of the very few parliamentary democracies created during an era of revolution which still survives and is serving its people. Madam President, you come to speak to us at an auspicious time. We are on the cusp of celebrating 50 years in the European Union. Ireland signed the Treaty of Accession to join the European Economic Community in 1972 and joined the community on the 1st of January 1973. In the last 50 years, we as a people have seen the transformative effects of that membership in terms of the transition from an agrarian economy to a modern economic model, strong economic growth, free-flowing inward investment, vast and often welcome changes in our social and civil fabric, and freedom of travel, to name but a few of the beneficial effects we have witnessed. And we are now a small island on the west coast of Europe, at the heart of a market of 500 million citizens living peacefully. Ní neart go chur le chéile dearnmuid. There is no strength without unity. We are stronger together. And while we value peace in the Union, you also address us in a time of war in the Ukraine and of deep economic uncertainty, both circumstances created by the unjustified and unprovoked attack on a member of the European family. The members of these houses have had the pleasure of hearing from the outstanding and impressive President Zelensky. As a member of the European Union, we stand in solidarity with him and with the Ukrainian people. And as a country, we will remain steadfast in our support for the Ukrainian people in the time ahead. I want to acknowledge the presence of two important people here today. Our own Commissioner, Ms Mairead McGuinness, who needs no introduction. I suppose you're not our Commissioner now, but you're the Commissioner from Ireland. You're very, very welcome. And in the public gallery, overlooking her Sinn Féin team, the designated First Minister for the Northern Ireland Assembly, and we all hope that that Assembly assembles and allows the important work of government in the north of Ireland to commence. Michelle O'Neill, you are heartily welcome together with your team. President von der Leyen, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, dear Speaker Taoiseach, honourable members of the Dáil and Seanad, ladies and gentlemen, Agwini Ursula. Today I join you in this home of Irish democracy. And I do not feel like I have travelled to the edge of our union, because, while that may be true geographically, Ireland lies at the heart of Europe in every other way. This is a country of proud Europeans, and today all other Europeans look up to Ireland, because you show Europe's best face, innovative and inclusive, loyal to your history and traditions, open to the future and the world. This is the country that you have built, indeed, in 1 century of independence and half a century of European membership. It is the country your ancestors fought for and dreamt of. Exactly 50 years ago, Taoiseach Jack Lynch made a prophecy about Ireland's future in the European Union. He was campaigning for Ireland to join the European Economic Community, and he explained that not only was the future of Ireland at stake, but the future of Europe, because he had the faith that the Irish people, and I quote, could help fashion for themselves and for future generations a better Ireland and a better Europe. And this is what I would like to talk about today. Most Irish people will agree that EU membership has made Ireland a better place. But the other side of the story is just as important. Ireland has made Europe a better place. Europe owes you. And today I have not come here to praise our union and its achievements, but to thank the Irish people for everything you have brought to our union in these 50 years and everything you will keep bringing in the many years ahead. And as the Irish language is, since this year, an official language of the European Union, I have to train my Irish. Gareth Maguif. Let me start with how Ireland has changed before I talk about how you have changed Europe. We all know the Irish success story in our union. Joining the European Union has unleashed Ireland's immense potential and has profoundly transformed this country. In 1973, Ireland's GDP per capita was around half the European Union's average. Today, it is double the average. And this is thanks to our unique single market and thanks to the ingenuity of the Irish people. You have just made the best of all the opportunities that are there and that come with the freedom of trade, to travel, to study, to work all across the European Union. And Irish society has blossomed too. When I was a teenager, married Irish women were banned from working in the public sector for whatever reason. But because of your accession to the European community, in 1973, this Parliament passed its first gender equality legislation. And since then, the rights of women in Ireland have come such a long way. Already in 1990, Mary Robinson became the country's first woman president. In her words, the women of Ireland, and I love this one, went from rocking the cradle to rocking the system. And indeed, now Ireland is one of the best countries in Europe for female employment levels, or women in science and technology jobs. And you were also the first country in the world to legalize same-sex marriage in a referendum. Powerful grassroots movements lead to powerful legislative changes. You have become a beacon for Europe and the world. Let me again take you back to 1973 for a moment. The troubles were blazing, and attempts to bridge building between communities would founder by the following year. However, far-sighted Irish politicians also understood that European membership could establish new economic and personal ties and gradually help remove the tensions which were obstructing the quest for peace. And this is indeed what happened. Of course, the conflict on the island of Ireland did not end overnight. And yet, slowly but surely, trust was built, both between Dublin and London, and between communities that lived on different sides of a wall. Europe was the incentive to look beyond the barbed wire, to build bridges, and reap the economic benefits of cross-border cooperation. The great European John Hume described Europe's role as being both practical and inspirational for the peace process. And we all know our union was once founded as a peace project. And here, on the island of Ireland, Europe demonstrated this unique power to bring about peace. Europe's role in the peace process brought Europe right back to its roots. And this has made Brexit even more painful for all of us. Its consequences are most deeply felt on the island, well beyond the economic dimension. But Brexit has also thrust Ireland and the rest of the European Union closer together. Ireland has benefited from the ironclad solidarity of the Union and all its member states, big and small. All Europeans immediately understood how important it was to preserve peace on the island of Ireland. And after Brexit, our union has doubled down on its commitment to peace. For instance, we are now providing €1 billion to the border counties in Ireland and to Northern Ireland with our Peace Plus programme. Since it was created in 1995, together with the Irish and UK governments, the EU's peace programme has replaced border checkpoints with sport venues, schools and community centres. It has brought together people from different communities who lived side by side but had never met each other. One thing is absolutely clear. Brexit will not become an obstacle on the path of reconciliation in Ireland. That is clear. And I'm glad that today our talks with London are marked by a new, more pragmatic spirit. Because the European Union and the United Kingdom are still members of the same extended family, even if we no longer live in the same house. And I can promise you that whenever the European Union sits down with our British friends, we will do so with an honest heart and an open mind, to quote the great Irish band, the Saw Doctors. By applying common sense and focusing on the issues that really matter in Northern Ireland, I believe we can make progress in resolving the practical issues surrounding the protocol. We're listening closely to the business and civil society stakeholders in Northern Ireland. But the consequences of Brexit and the kind of Brexit chosen by the UK cannot be removed entirely. The solutions we find must ensure that the single market continues to function in Ireland and elsewhere in the European Union. And I think if both sides are sensitive to this careful balance, a workable solution is within reach. I believe we have a duty to find it. And my contacts with Prime Minister Sunak are encouraging, and I trust we can find the way. And let me reassure you, Ireland can always count on the European Union to stand by the Good Friday Agreement. There can be no hard border on the island of Ireland. Honourable members, European membership has done Ireland good, but that's only half of the story. Today, I would also like to reflect about what Ireland brings to our union and what it could contribute in the years to come, because Europe is what we all make of it. And indeed, we can all benefit from a bit more of the Irish approach to life. As John F. Kennedy pointed out when speaking here almost 60 years ago, he quoted George Bernard Shaw, another great Irishman, who said, "Other people see things and say, 'Why?' I dream of things that never were, and I say, 'Why not?'" And Ireland's future is built on opportunity, optimism, and openness. And Europe needs this positive vision for a competitive economy, for a green, digital, trade-oriented European Union, with a global role reinforced by Ireland's strong links across the Atlantic and with the English-speaking world. And today, I would like to dwell on 5 Irish virtues that will help our union to face our common challenges ahead. The first is the Irish passion for freedom. This country knows what it means to struggle for the right to exist. And today, another European nation is fighting for its independence. Of course, Ireland is far away from the front line in Ukraine, but you understand better than most why this war matters so much to all of us. Just like our friends in Eastern Europe, you know that in Ukraine there is more at stake than the future of one country only. Ukraine is fighting for freedom itself, for self-rule, for the rules-based global order. And Ireland has gone above and beyond in its support to Ukraine. And these months, tens of thousands of Ukrainians fleeing from Putin's bombs in the east found the famous Irish welcome here in the West. You were also an early supporter of Ukraine's application to join the European Union. And I want to thank you, Taoiseach, for being such a vocal and determined supporter. When the citizens of Kherson raised the European Union's blue and gold flag, as well as the blue and yellow flag of Ukraine, to greet their liberators, it was a powerful visual confirmation about the people's desire to belong to our union. We have shown that our union is the home of all European countries thriving for freedom and democracy. And our support to Ukraine must continue for as long as it takes until Ukrainians fully recover what Russia has tried to take from them, their freedom, asirche. This leads me to the second point. Europe should learn the Irish resolve, or some may say the Irish stubbornness. History has never been easy on Ireland, but you have never surrendered your soul. And whenever history hit you, you fought back. A country of emigrants has turned into a magnet for global talents. After each crisis, you have risen up again. After the Troubles, after the financial crisis, and then again after COVID. Ireland has constantly transformed its economy to make it one of the most successful in Europe. But now, a new crisis is hitting Europe. The fallout of the war in Ukraine is weighing on households and businesses across the European Union. The whole of Europe needs your stubbornness today to keep up supporting Ukraine for as long as it takes and to break free from our dependency of Russian fossil fuels. We need your stubbornness. Since the start of the war, Russia has cut 80% of our pipeline gas, 80%. But Europe has managed to replace most of it. We have saved 15% of our energy demand. Our storages are full by 95%, and we are safe for this winter. But let's look beyond. It is no exaggeration to say that we stand at a crossroads. Either we ignore the lesson of this crisis and fall again into the trap of a carbon lock-in for the future, or we use this crisis to leapfrog to clean energy. Renewables are not only good for our climate, but they are homegrown, and thus also good for our independence and our security of energy supply. And here too, Europe has much to learn from this green island. Even though you are far away from Russia and Ukraine, you are making an essential contribution to overcoming our energy crisis. Ireland is a wind energy superpower and a key player in our European Green Deal. Last year, 31% of Ireland's electricity came from wind turbines, a share only topped by Denmark. And you are now doubling down on your commitments. Your landmark Climate Act of 2021 set the ambitious goals to cut emissions by 51% by 2030 and to increase your renewable share up to 80%. This is good for Ireland and this is good for Europe, because you can become a net exporter of energy and help the rest of Europe replace Russian fossil fuel. The new electricity interconnector to France, supported by European funds, will become yet another engine of growth here in Ireland. And this leads to the third Irish contribution I would like to discuss. That is ingenuity. This country of poets and artists has now become a country of startups too. Several Irish startups have become global players, from Stripe, the multi-billion euro payment processing platform, founded by two Limerick brothers, to Flipdish, digitizing restaurants and bars, for instance, by setting up their online orders and QR codes at the table. Access to Europe's single market, amplified by Ireland's supporting policies and qualities, helps indigenous startups to grow. And it has also made Ireland hugely attractive to foreign investment. Ireland has become a hub for the world's most innovative companies, from pharma to high tech. And you are taking the responsibility to regulate this crucial sector. Europeans depend heavily on Irish authorities to ensure that the many tech giants based here comply with our common privacy rules. Ireland can be the home base for the human-centered internet Europe wants to build. And the European Commission looks forward to working very closely with Ireland in implementing the new EU digital legislation, such as the Digital Markets Act and the Digital Services Act. This will keep the digital economy fair and competitive. And this brings me to my fourth point: openness. Ireland is Europe's springboard over the Atlantic, a gateway to the world. 2 centuries of immigration has given Ireland an unparalleled soft power and diplomatic network. Right now, both the US and Australia have leaders with proud Irish ancestry. And there are few countries more skilled than Ireland at leveraging the influence and friendship of a historic diaspora. But it's not just that. Ireland is an exporting powerhouse and a staunch supporter of free trade. And Europe has an unparalleled network of trade agreements, 46 deals with 78 partners. And as we confront a more fragmented global order, the value of trade agreements is increasing. This is why, in the coming years, Europe will need to invest even more in its trade with the world. It's not just about energy. We must also supply the essential raw materials we need for the green and digital transition. So over the next year, we aim to sign trade deals with New Zealand, with Chile, with Mexico, and to advance ongoing negotiations with Australia, Indonesia, and India. Trade, once again, is at the heart of Europe's foreign policy agenda. Honourable members, the last and most important contribution from Ireland to our European Union is your optimism. Let me go back to 1972 again, when 83% of Irish people voted yes to joining the European community. And the Irish were by far the most pro-Europe of the 3 applicant countries that held referenda. And today, 50 years later, the exact same percentage of people in Ireland, 83%, are optimistic about the EU's future. Once again, the highest percentage of any country in the European Union. The story of Ireland in the European Union is a story of optimism. And you, the Irish people, have built your own good fortune through thick and thin. Jack Lynch was an optimist when he said that he could make Ireland and the European Union a better place. The heroes of the Eastern Rising and the architects of the Good Friday Agreement were optimists because they believed that they could change the course of history. That is their greatest lesson for us. They dared to look beyond the imperfection of what is, to see the beauty of what could be. And this is what Europe needs today. We need to believe that Ukraine can win this war. We need to believe that we can break free, once and for all, from the enslavement of Russian fossil fuels. We need to believe that a climate-neutral future is within reach. And we must do everything in our power to turn this hope into reality, because it depends on us. Long live Ireland, long live the European Union.